Hey traders, hope you had a good week, and let's do one more review of the week that I had. So I had been pretty busy with some other stuff during this specific week and only traded on Thursday. I was looking on the market with alerts, but so it happened that I only managed to enter on Thursday, and I had a break even, two losers and a winner. I consider them all as a setups because of the clean context we had on CHF and all entries were based from the same for our range. So let's do some multi-time frame analysis and context analysis on the way. So starting from monthly, we just seen that the market was moving in some bearish range, some bearish trends, and then started to shift to the bullish side. And right now we had this break to the upside from monthly perspective, and maybe it can give us a bit of bearishness based on the fact that we started some pullback and we have some unmitigated zones below. So again, not looking too much on monthly, just to check it, just to check it. The weekly is kind of more interesting because what we have here is a really bullish market, but with overextension. So if we count the breaks, so if we go from here, so we had a bullish break, a bearish break, and then we have bearish break, one more bearishness, and starting from here I think we become bullish. So we had 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 breaks to the downside, and we actually didn't break anything ever since. So in this case we have a structural overextension on our weekly time frame, and we can expect at least at this time the market to make at least one shift to the downside for reaccumulation. Again, it does not need to happen. The market of course can mitigate here and continue for the 9s and 10s, but overall the more such consecutive shifts we will see, the more chances that some bearishness will establish itself. So from the standpoint of bearishness, this is what we have. From the standpoint of overextension, this is what we have on weekly. And on daily, of course, we are starting to have this rangy price action, which can be treated as distribution or even reaccumulation. But even if it's a reaccumulation, we can expect this for reaccumulation before moving higher, and in this way we also can have some possibilities for bearishness. But not only that, so the situation here is not like it was here. In this part of the chart, we see that the market already created some bearish shifts to the downside. So we have this first one, this the second one, then followed by a bearish shift, then followed by a bullish shift. So it was like a reaccumulation. But what's interesting, we also see that these bearish breaks on daily were actually coming from this bigger leg. So maybe if I check 2 days, yeah, so on 2 days we don't have it, but maybe on 12 hours or something like that. Maybe on 30 hours. I wonder if they have it. No, they don't have it. But anyway, it seems that we are just having some kind of this bearish leg and mitigating some zones here and starting a move down. And if we look on the daily itself, we can see that there was this bullish break, one more bullish break to the upside, and then a bearish break to the downside. So overall, what we did here is we moved bullish, then shifted to the bearish side, and then shifted to the bullish side, and now shifting back to the bearish side. So we are kind of starting this back and forth movement that can be a sign of even more bearishness in the future, because if the market wanted to perform just a reaccumulation, it will most likely just go from here and take these highs, but instead it continued to move to the downside, and because of that I'm in this. So while we will be in this bearish range on daily, I can say that I have some bearishness in the market at least. So what we had there also, we had this zone, this really clear zone that was mitigated afterwards because the trades were taken here. I'm doing this review like 2 weeks later after the entry, because I just didn't have the time to do it properly. So this is what I was looking during that week. So of course on daily we are still bearish, and we can expect some continuations, but I was admitting that we have this zone as well. So this is kind of against me, yeah. And this is what we had on 4 hours. Let me turn on this text. I definitely remember that we had something on 12 hours here. Let me check. Okay. Oh, yeah, I see. So not only we have this daily leg, but also we have two structural ranges on 12 hours, you see, with clean movement. And actually what we were acting from is this 12-hour refined zone. So this is the root of the move, and this is the refined zone on 12 hours. This is impulse after accumulation, after multiple MBs to the upside on weekly. Yeah, so we have multiple MBs on weekly, and this is structural impulses after reaccumulations here. So what I mentioned before. So we can just get rid of this. And again, you see the bearish impulse is really clear. The protected high is here. We have a lot of space to move, so even if we will have just a reaction, it will be enough for us to enter a trade. And then on 4 hours, so again we can just play with time frames and understand that 4 hours and 12 hours are basically showing the same, but 4 hours have this really nice zone. And not only that, this zone is happening inside this classical pattern that we have, like a break, and then taking out these highs, mitigating the higher zones. So it's a good sign for like a redistribution, and it's a good sign that the market really mitigated everything it wants. And yeah, so I really like this pattern, and this zone is really clear. Just if it's not a clear zone, then what is? And let's see how the market developed. So the market went straight into the zone. So this was previous day, Wednesday. I was not trading. It started, you see, it started some distribution here, local distribution in the zone. And as you can see, if you were waiting for these early entries, you will be liquidated once, liquidated twice, and mitigated some parts of the zone there. So again, like our main structural range is 4 hours, and then we are just expecting the move to the downside. And when the market did something like this, again, this is what I liked, we created 1 hour shift. So remember, I really often say that it's better to enter not here, like not straight on the tap into your zone, but maybe to wait for the market to come a bit lower. And this is exactly what the market is doing here. It's starting a move, showing us breaks on 1 hour, on 30 minutes, on 15 minutes, and now we can just play with the zones. And in this part, as you can see, I just refined some zones from this bearish impulse. To be honest, at this point, I don't remember. So what I have here is 1 hour move, and refinements that I found on 15 minutes, like this clear zone, and something here. To be honest, I don't even know what, but probably something from these candles. Again, we're acting more from 4 hours range than 1 hour impulse. Yes, it's not that clear, but we have some refinements. And let's look closer for the entry. Okay, let me bring up my text. Yeah, so basically what we have here is this tap into refined zone on 1 hour. And at this point, I just went, and this is an example of the entry almost straight from the zone. But why? Because my usual stop loss is like around 10-20 pips, and we have really small refined zone. So not only that, we have some overextended impulse with inside structure starting to build, so some stoppage in the price in the zone. And basically this is where I entered. I started to mark up this inside structure. I think I will record a new video soon that will tell that when we have overextended ranges, we can then start to act from inside structure. And again, I need to check. Yeah, so probably the entry was here, just straight from the reaction, and based on a refined zone. The market went here. At this point, I went break even, so I was looking for this low to be taken, and the market started this reaccumulation as I thought. So I put this text like reaccumulation maybe, so expecting it to redistribute and then go lower, but it never did. It just went to 2.5 hour profit, and on the news I think it went straight into my break even, and this was my break even trade. By the way, again, I will check this topic of Asian ranges, and so this market not only stepped into the zone but also liquidated. So this was the Asian range. So this was the Asian range. It liquidated it, and so again, even on the news, it was moving against the overall bias, and for me, it's a good sign when we have higher time frame bias, and then on lower time frames, news come out and we move against the higher time frame bias. For me, it's a good sign because I understand we just liquidate something here, and usually I see that the market is then moving in the same direction. And then later, I was just looking during the day on the market, and we started to have these shifts on 1 minute, and I thought, okay, it wanted to liquidate these highs, came back to the same zone and started this nice and clear structure. And created this move on 1 minute, and I was just entering here. So this was my entry from this range, from this route of the move. We have a price that is coming lower, and it was so maybe you could go break even, but I was just waiting, and this was my loser. But in the same time, it created a new range, as you can see, on 1 minute with this zone, and I was just looking for one more entry. So basically this was my entry. We went above and snapped back, and this was a loser again. Yeah, it was a loser. Market went up, so this was New York open. Then this 2 hours after New York open, sometimes we can still expect this counter trend movement, but then the main move is happening usually after this hour. So 1.5 2 hours after New York open, and again we are coming back exactly to the same zone, so refinements are still holding. And when I saw this, oh yeah, so refinements are still holding, and again I was just looking at this impulse. This impulse never closed above and started this inside structure here. So just inside structure, maybe on lower time frames. And on this point, I was just entering, protecting myself above the same, exactly the same zone. So the reasoning is the same. And at this point, the market just provided the move. Either here or a bit lower. Yeah, either here or here, I went break even. And then just left the trade to run to the same profit levels we had here, basically some lows here. And this trade was a bit better in risk to reward ratio. And as you can see, the market started first move, then started reaccumulation a bit. So you see, broke the structure to the upside, and then continue to the downside during New York. So this trade is actually what I expected here, but it never happened. And then later, the market followed. So again, you see, we were entering already when the markets made at least some move on even 1 hour, and it went more to the downside, targeting this 4-hour low, but it never made it to this 4-hour low. So it was a 15R on MFE basis, and you see again this same zone provided reaction here. But then the market during next days, next week, started a move to this higher time frame zone, which we discussed before. So this zone, and now it's mitigating it. But overall, we had a really nice reaction, and let me check if there was any other possibility to enter here. So this was news. We have some range here, so maybe some entries from this 5-minute range on 1 minute. Then something here if you want to just follow 1 minute. Then one more break here with these mitigations. So this was a break even probably. And then losers, one more reaction here. And you see, that's interesting that the market was bullish, then shifted to the bearish side. So probably once, twice. And then after first shift, it went back. So this is a thing that I, again, would like to include maybe more in context, in structure, is that when we have first shifts, usually we can expect come back and clean them up before creating a move down. So some examples of redistribution here. Don't see anything too interesting except maybe this one, but this is before Asia. And then just break into the upside, and that's all. Okay, so that's it for this week, and see you in the next one.